name is Rabia Ahmed, and today I'm going to be talking about dealing with mental health. So before I get started, there is a trigger warning. So throughout my presentation, there is going to be some sensitive content. So understanding what mental health is. So there's a difference between mental health and mental health issues. Everyone faces mental health some point in their life, but mental health issues is something that's a bit more prolonged, and I will be getting more in depth with it. So it's the emotional, psychological, and well-being. And this is how well we handle stress, how well we handle some decisions, some choices. And with mental health issues, there could be some hereditary involved. So you could have a family history of mental health issues. And the thing with mental health issues is it is intense. It's something that happens constantly, it's persistent. With mental health, it's something that maybe you're just having a bad day today, you don't feel too well, something like that. So that is the main difference between the two. And there are some signs. However, I'm not going to be reading the signs that I wrote that you could just search up. I'm going to be talking about the signs that I have seen personally that I know of. When I first started learning about mental health, there were signs such as not eating well, not taking care of your personal hygiene, not brushing your teeth, not taking a shower. The other thing is there's asymptomatic mental health signs. So there is like sleeping too long. For sometimes it could say when thinking too much or thinking you could have trouble sleeping. That is also one of the signs. However, I'm talking about my personal signs. So it is feeling tired constantly, and I'd be sleeping, I'd get my 8 to 10 hours a day, but there's so much work that I'd be doing. And then at points where I'd be at school, and then I'd just feel like I'm going to pass out right there and then. And I'm trying so hard to keep my eyes open at nighttime, before it's even my bedtime, really. I set my own bedtime. Before it's even my bedtime, I'd just fall asleep and then not wake up. I'd say, okay, let me take a nap. I'll get up in like an hour and I'll do this again. And it's also a thing my family noticed. They'll be like, oh, she's gonna go take a nap for like an hour, say wake me up, and then just not wake up. And it has affected my work, and I do keep doing this often. So for me, this presentation I have actually done before, and back then I was also trying to deal with mental health. So as we go, I'm going to be talking about how to help with mental health issues, and I will say that there are times where you seem like where people would say just keep going, just keep fighting, and there is a point where you do keep fighting, but it does get worse. There are those points, but really it is about just recognizing it and trying to get back to your own pace, getting back to yourself, doing things that make you happy, and just realizing that this is what I'm trying to go for, and for me to achieve these things, I have to keep doing it. It's hard. Sometimes you don't feel like doing anything. So those are also some of the signs. Just don't want to go to school. You don't want to do anything. You think like, what's the point? You just don't want to get up. It's so tiring, but you really have to push yourself. It's not, and people can help you. It's really good to ask for help. There are also some signs where people are too nervous to ask other people. They might get really anxious. So with anxiety, oh my God, what if they're thinking about me? No, I don't want to bother them. But sometimes you have to learn to put yourself first, because you can't help anybody else if you don't do that. If you can't help yourself, there really isn't helping anyone else. So these are just some of the signs that I personally have faced. I know there's more. However, these are the ones that I could think of at the moment. So let's move on to the next slide. So these are just some list of common diagnoses. My diagnosis was like 2-3 years ago. I already knew I had signs before, but this is when I actually went and talked to a doctor. So that was with depression and anxiety. So I know like my friends, they have ADHD or ADD, and I try to do some studies and try to listen to them, and I know how difficult it can be for them as well. So just some of the common diagnoses are such as, like I said, anxiety, ADHD or ADD, depression and other mood disorders, schizophrenia, eating disorders, and there's about 1 in 5 children and youth that has mental challenge. So like I said, the thing with mental health is it affects everyone. So it's really important to take care of your mental health. And it's important to respond to symptoms like you would to a physical injury. I know when it comes to mental health issues, I do this too. I'm very like indecisive. I'd feel completely fine one day and I'll be like, I'm completely stable. I don't need to take my medication. I don't need to talk to any doctors or anything like that. I'm completely fine. And then the next day, for no reason, I just feel so down and I'm like, what is going on? So there is that bit of indecisiveness especially when it comes to mental health issues because you can't see it, but in reality you can. There are issues that are being affected, like your grades or something like that, but these are just signs we ignore. It's not like a physical injury where you might be able to see the bruise or you're bleeding out and you're like, okay, I need to go to the doctor right now. But with mental health issues, it's something that we might put aside, like, what's that? That doesn't exist. That whole thing about feeling normal, and it's really hard to talk to other people because they don't understand. So you just feel like you said something you shouldn't have. And it just feels like when the other person feels uneasy about you talking about your own problems, it just feels like, why did I do that? I just made them feel uneasy instead of even then putting your own self first again. So I'll talk about some of my personal experiences. Some of the things that I have faced is one time, sometimes you let your emotions build up and then it breaks you at certain points, depending on what people might say. And what I have faced is I had a really bad breakdown one time in front of a family member. And then I guess once we were like in a fight or a conflict about something, me just trying to tell them to like do a bit better, and they brought it up. They're like, oh my gosh, I probably shouldn't say something. What if you have like another breakdown again? And I just sat there. I was like, how could you say that? So, so it like even they would have issues themselves, but they would say these things without realizing it because they don't recognize their own issues. So it's just something that does happen, and I apologize to anybody who had to face these things. But you have to realize that people will always say things. There's always going to be people like that. You have to learn to love your own self, to kind of like let go of that, just it's okay. Things happen, take a breather, just relax because you are living, you're in the moment right now, and you could make a difference. So I was diagnosed with severe anxiety and depression. I had to get my prescription higher because it wouldn't work for me. I actually have my bottles right here, but I stopped taking them because it didn't work for me. I would throw them up and it was really bad. I think sometimes like it would be the medication would be so bad that I would be like throwing up horribly, and then I'd sit there and then my vision would get really blurry. It would be like black spots and I wouldn't be able to see for a few seconds. So then I'm like, this is not okay. I need to stop. So I feel like the thing that helped me the most is actually talking about things. And I went for it. I'm like, okay, time to go talk about my mental health issues. I want to address it because I want to help others. But first, I have to help myself. And I talked about it with my counselor. I talked to my doctor. One time she called me and she'd be like, how are you doing? And I'm like, yeah, I'm doing better. Because once again, that like, what, I'm perfectly fine type of feeling. So I'd be like, yeah, I'm completely okay. Oh yeah, I can't cross the street really. I think everybody's watching me and I'm scared to cross the street, but yeah, I'm okay. And then she'd look at me just like, you're really not. And then I was like, and when she said that to me, that, she recognized it, that I wasn't overthinking, that this is something that happens, I was like, wow, like, thank you. That's what I wanted to hear. Sometimes we're just searching for answers, like, what is my problem? What is wrong with me? So some of my inspirations, one day I decided enough was enough. That turning point in that book that you have, that really nice story, you're just like, the main character is finally like, that's it, I'm about to change my life. Well, it's not that easy to achieve in real life. I was like, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna fix my sleep schedule, I'm gonna make breakfast, I'm gonna eat breakfast, I'm gonna go for like a 10-kilometer run. Oh my God, it's gonna be great. I didn't wake up the next morning, but there was that thought. So there was, the great thing about that is I actually did wake up that next morning, though. There's one thing to be thankful of, that I woke up. As I went along my day, there were other things to be thankful of. Sure, I didn't do everything that was on my to-do list, but it was great to just wake up, just see the world, see the beauty that's there, enjoy the nice weather, enjoy what you have, and there's always tomorrow. And honestly, the other things I really do love, like the littlest things, is like everybody smile. I know we all wear masks nowadays. I know that with the mandates going away now, but whenever somebody would just recognize you, like you're just having a bad day or something, and just, do a little smile, it really did make me feel better. And one of the biggest things ever is self-love. I'm learning more about this too now because I've done biology and I'm taking biology, and I'm thinking about all these processes that's happening in my body right now, and my body is working so hard to make me keep going, to make me breathe, to right now I'm feeling a bit sick, to fight that sickness, and I'm not caring for my body. So it's just that one thing that maybe try looking at yourself as maybe how you'd see another person that you really care for, and think like, why am I being so rude to myself? It's already hard enough that other people are being hard on you, because there are those few people, but then why are you doing that to your own self? It's not fair. And then some healthy coping mechanisms I actually do do like 10-kilometer runs. I'm that person, surprisingly. I love to work out. With the gyms closed and I have a lot of school work, I'm unable to go to that right now, but I've joined things like crocheting club and stuff, just doing something with my hands. I used to make cards for everybody. I really love making things for people. So I made cards. There's just some pictures. There's my cat I use as like a model for one of my cards. I made a painting for my sister for her birthday with her kids. Oh my God, my nephews, they're adorable. Um, and then made a card, another card for my friend, and then a cup for my brother. So these are just some things that are like coping mechanisms. I know we also have unhealthy coping mechanisms. We do things that would ruin our sleep schedule, or there are times where we like to do self-harm as a coping mechanism, and we think like, oh, well, I'm only harming myself, it's not harming anybody, so why does that matter, but really, like, it is. If anybody else were to really care about you and see that, it's really painful. But if it's possible, try to maybe occupy your hands with something else. I know it's better to relieve that sadness or that just burdening feeling by doing something else, like feeling other types of pain. But by like self-harming, that's what I mean by other types of pain. It's really not okay. It's not gonna help you. And especially if you can't talk about it with other people, that is something that you want to hide. So why do it? Um, yeah, so just try doing like other stuff. I'm sure there's something that you like. There's so many things in the world. Like I said, the beauty of the world that there actually is. There's countless of things. I love music. I love a lot of things. I love my religion as well. So I love praying. That could be a really good way. I know sometimes it could be really hard to also talk about mental health issues when you have that, the cultural aspect and the religion aspect and the people there, and they just don't believe it. They think like maybe you're just not close enough to God because you're mentally ill. That's a very like unpositive way to look at it. So if you want, I think praying is a good way for me personally. So I just think it's like better to just let them be. They're probably going through something, and that's maybe their coping mechanism. So who to talk to? I know this is very difficult in terms of who we should be talking to, because it's so hard to trust people. Like that one person, you'd break down in front of by accident, and then they use it against you. But it is really important to go talk to somebody who's maybe a professional, because they cannot, um, in their job, they're not allowed to tell these things to other people. That they have to, like therapists and stuff, they have to keep it to themselves unless it's going to affect you like really badly. um you could talk to a friend. I have great family members, friends. I have some really great teachers too, and they really do help a lot. It's nice to be alone. It's nice to learn how to be alone, but sometimes you really just need that someone who could listen, and I really mean someone who'd actually listen, because you try to talk about your mental health issues, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I know you. I know how you are." And you're just sitting there like, "Okay." And then they start talking about them and forever and go on, and you're just like, you wanna be respectful, you wanna, be like, "Yeah, okay." But then when they start to tell you how you are and just completely ignore what you're trying to say, then it gets really difficult. So just somebody who could really listen even though when it's too much, I have some helplines provided here, so just take a moment to look at them. I have used some of these helplines before, so they do help. They check in, and if it's serious, they really say, okay, maybe we need to book another appointment and stuff. So those were just helplines. Once again, very cheesy. So I have some positive notes to take with you. You're more precious to this world than you'll ever know. It is very true. Self-care is how you take your power back. You really do, you have to care. Your body does care, even though might think it doesn't. It cares so much. And we just have to convince ourselves to just, it's okay, keep going, you got this, love ourselves too. Just something that would show to somebody else. Mental health is not a destination, but a process. It's about how you drive, not where you're going. So I just wanted to thank you all for your time and patience. I know I've been talking a lot, and I could probably go on forever about this, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. And I hope that you could take something from this, and there's something that maybe you learned, just something to take with you. Just be kind, be patient. We're all struggling. I know with Corona, it has been even more difficult. I've been dealing with mental health a long time before, but it did get worse because of the pandemic and everything, and then having to face family issues and then death in the family and stuff like that. It is very difficult, but just take it one step a day, take a deep breath. You're in that moment. There's so much ahead of you, and it is completely okay to ask for help. Just I'm proud of you, whoever you are. You got this, and just keep going. Just keep going. Even if you don't have a mental health issue, just whoever you are, you got this. The bad days, you'll get over them, and it'll make you strong. So that's all for me. Thank you very much